Months later, Marcus's corner on Michigan Avenue had become something of a pilgrimage site. Veterans would seek him out specifically, sometimes traveling from other cities just to see the statue performer who had shown such profound respect for their fallen comrade. Many would stand quietly beside him during his performances, sharing in the silent tribute he offered daily. The city officially recognized Marcus and the other street performers who had participated in the impromptu funeral. Tribute. At a ceremony attended by Private Chen's family, the mayor presented them with a community service award. Marcus accepted the honor, but immediately dedicated it to the memory of David Chen and all military families who have lost loved ones in service to their country. The impact extended far beyond individual recognition. Marcus began working with local veteran organizations to create educational programs about military service and sacrifice. His unique perspective as someone who honored veterans daily through art provided a bridge between the military and civilian communities that had previously seemed distant from each other. Other street performers around the world began reaching out to Marcus, sharing their own stories of moments when they had broken character to show respect or support. A network developed of artists who understood that sometimes the greatest performance is knowing when to stop performing and simply be human in response to profound circumstances. Private Chen's parents established a scholarship fund in their son's name, and Marcus became one of its most dedicated fundraisers. His daily performances took on additional meaning as people learned about the scholarship, often contributing not just for the entertainment, but to support the educational dreams of other young people who shared David's commitment to service. The corner where Marcus performs now bears a small plaque commemorating Private Chen and honoring all those who serve. It was installed quietly, without fanfare, because Marcus insisted that the tribute should be permanent but not attention-seeking. Every morning when he takes his position, he touches the plaque briefly before beginning his performance. Years have passed since that tear-jerking moment when living statues stepped out of character to show deep respect. Marcus continues his daily performances, but everyone who stops to watch understands they are witnessing something deeper than street entertainment. They are seeing a daily meditation on honor, a living memorial to sacrifice, and a reminder that genuine respect transcends performance to touch the very essence of human dignity. The bronze soldier continues his silent vigil, but now everyone knows that beneath the paint beats the heart of someone who truly understands what it means to serve, to sacrifice, and to remember those who have given everything for others. After the procession passed, Marcus slowly returned to his usual pose, but the atmosphere around him had changed forever. People approached him differently now, understanding that beneath the bronze paint was someone who truly comprehended the meaning of honor and sacrifice. Many veterans in the crowd came forward to shake his hand and thank him for his tribute. A reporter from the local television station approached Marcus during his break. Through tears, she explained that her camera had captured the moment when he saluted, and she wanted to share the story with the community. Marcus, still in his bronze makeup, spoke quietly about his grandfather's military service and his own daily commitment to honoring veterans through his art. The interview revealed something beautiful about Marcus's character. He explained that breaking his statue pose wasn't planned or rehearsed. In that moment, faced with the reality of a young soldier's sacrifice, remaining still felt disrespectful. The salute had come from somewhere deeper than performance art. It had come from genuine reverence for Private Chen and all who serve. Within hours, the video of Marcus's salute began spreading on social media. People shared it with captions about respect, honor, and the unexpected places where dignity can be found. Comments poured in from veterans around the world, thanking Marcus and the other street performers for their spontaneous tribute. Many people admitted they had never understood the deeper meaning behind living statue performances until witnessing this moment. Private Chen's family saw the video that evening. His parents, still devastated by their loss, found some comfort in knowing that their son had been honored by complete strangers who understood the value of military service. David's younger sister reached out through social media to thank Marcus personally, explaining that her brother would have been deeply moved by the gesture. The story spread beyond local news, picked up by national outlets who recognized the power of the moment. Marcus found himself thrust into an unfamiliar spotlight, but he handled the attention with the same dignity he brought to his daily performances. In every interview, he redirected focus from himself to the memory of Private Chen and the broader community of veterans who deserved recognition. What struck people most about the story was its authenticity. In a world where respect sometimes feels performative or calculated, Marcus's salute had been purely instinctive. It represented the kind of genuine honor that can't be manufactured or staged, arising naturally from a heart that truly values service and sacrifice. At 11:30, word came down the street that the funeral procession was approaching. The crowd along the sidewalks had grown to hundreds of people, creating a corridor of respect that stretched for blocks. Marcus took his position, but this time felt the eyes of the community upon him in a way that transcended his usual performance. As the lead vehicles came into view, something extraordinary happened. Without any coordination or planning, the entire crowd fell silent. The usual sounds of city life seemed to pause as if the city itself was holding its breath. Marcus had experienced quiet audiences before, but this silence was different. It carried the weight of genuine emotion and collective grief. The procession was led by military motorcycles, followed by an honor guard marching in perfect formation. Behind them came the hearse carrying Private Chen, draped with an American flag, and surrounded by his fellow soldiers. The sight was both beautiful and heartbreaking, representing the solemn dignity with which the military honors its fallen. As the hearse approached Marcus's corner, he did something he had never done in 12 years of being a living statue. Slowly, maintaining the grace and precision of his bronze character, he shifted from his usual pose to a perfect military salute. The movement was so smooth and dignified that it appeared almost supernatural, as if the bronze statue had come to life. Out of pure respect, the crowd gasped audibly at the gesture. Many people began to cry, including hardened veterans who understood the significance of this tribute. The honor guard noticed the salute and, in an unprecedented breach of protocol that spoke to the power of the moment, several of them nodded, acknowledgement to Marcus as they passed. But Marcus wasn't the only one moved to break character. Down the street, Sarah the Golden Angel slowly raised her wings in a gesture of blessing as the procession passed her position. Tommy, in his military dress blues, shifted to attention and rendered his own salute. All along the street, performers who had built careers on remaining motionless were finding that some moments demanded movement, demanded acknowledgement of something greater than entertainment. The funeral procession continued past, but the impact of what had happened lingered in the air. People in the crowd were openly weeping, not just for Private Chen, but for the unexpected beauty of witnessing such genuine respect. Many had never seen street performers break character, and the rarity of the moment made it even more powerful and meaningful. That evening, Marcus went home and did something he had never done before in 12 years of performing. He researched everything he could find about Private David Chen. He read newspaper articles, watched news interviews with his commanding officers, and learned about the young man's dreams and aspirations. David had planned to use his military training to become a civil engineer after his service, hoping to build bridges and infrastructure in underserved communities. Marcus also discovered that David had been part of the honor guard at the base, responsible for military funeral ceremonies. The irony was not lost on him that this young man who had shown final respect to others would now be receiving that same honor. The weight of this responsibility pressed heavily on Marcus's mind as he prepared for what he knew would be the most important performance of his career. The next morning arrived gray and somber. Word had spread throughout the downtown area about the funeral procession, and by the time Marcus arrived at his usual corner, a different kind of crowd was already gathering. Instead of tourists seeking entertainment, there were veterans, active, military personnel, and community members who had come to pay their respects. Marcus set up his usual equipment, but felt the profound difference in the atmosphere. Other street performers in the area had made similar decisions. Sarah, who usually performed as a golden angel statue 2 blocks away, had moved closer to the procession route. Tommy, known for his robot statue act, had chosen to perform in his military dress blues instead of his usual futuristic costume. As Marcus painted his skin bronze and prepared his military uniform, he made a decision that would change everything. Instead of his usual generic soldier pose, he researched and practiced the specific stance used by honor guard members during funeral ceremonies. He wanted his tribute to be as authentic and respectful as possible for Private Chen. The morning. Crowd was quieter than usual. People spoke in hushed tones, and even the typical city noise seemed muted out of respect. Veterans in the crowd began sharing stories about fallen comrades, while younger spectators listened with newfound appreciation for military sacrifice. A sense of unity was building among strangers, who had gathered to honor someone most of them had never met. Local news crews began setting up equipment along the procession route. What had started as coverage of a military funeral was evolving into a story about community response and the power of collective respect. Marcus could see reporters interviewing other street performers about their decision to participate in this impromptu tribute. As the morning progressed, Marcus began to piece together the situation from the conversations around him. A young soldier from the local military base had been killed in a training accident the previous evening. The news had spread quickly through the community, and many people were discussing the tragic loss of someone so young and full of promise. The soldier's name was Private David Chen, just 22 years old, who had been preparing for his first deployment overseas. He had been participating in a routine training exercise when equipment malfunction led to a fatal accident. The entire base was mourning, and the local community had embraced the fallen soldier's family as their own. Marcus felt a deep connection to this story, even while maintaining his statue pose. His painted bronze face remained unchanged, but inside his heart was heavy with the weight of real loss versus his symbolic representation. He had spent years honoring the idea of military sacrifice, but now he was confronted with its immediate, heartbreaking reality just miles from where he stood. Throughout the day, more details emerged from passing conversations. Private Chen had been known for his infectious smile and dedication to his fellow soldiers. He had volunteered at local schools, teaching children about military values and the importance of service. His family had immigrated from Taiwan when David was young, and joining the military had been his way of giving back to the country that had welcomed them. The crowd around Marcus seemed different today. People lingered longer, their usual hurried pace slowed by the weight of the news. Some tourists still took photos, but even they seemed more respectful, more contemplative. A few veterans in the crowd recognized something in Marcus's military statue pose that felt especially relevant, given the circumstances. As afternoon approached, Marcus learned that Private Chen's funeral procession would pass through downtown the following day. The route had been planned to honor the fallen soldier, taking him past significant landmarks including the corner where Marcus performed daily. The city had announced that businesses would be encouraged to pause and show respect. As the procession passed, word began to spread among the street performers in the area. There was an unspoken understanding that tomorrow would be different. The usual entertainment and light-hearted interactions would give way to something more solemn and meaningful. Marcus realized that his daily tribute, which had always been symbolic, was about to become very real and deeply personal. Marcus had been performing as a living statue for 12 years on the bustling streets of downtown Chicago. Every morning, at 8 sharp, he would position himself on the corner of Michigan Avenue, transforming into a bronze soldier, frozen in salute. His military-style uniform, painted skin, and unwavering dedication made tourists stop and stare in amazement. The art of being a living statue required incredible patience and physical endurance. Marcus could remain motionless for hours, breathing so slowly that onlookers questioned whether he was real. Children would dare each other to touch him, while adults dropped coins into his hat, hoping to catch even the slightest movement. He had mastered the ability to blink without anyone noticing, and could shift his weight imperceptibly to avoid muscle cramps. Marcus chose this particular character because of his deep respect for veterans. His grandfather had served in World War II, and though the old man had passed away before Marcus was born, the stories his grandmother told shaped his understanding of sacrifice and honor. Every day he stood in that bronze pose, he thought about the real soldiers who had given everything for their country. The corner where Marcus performed had become somewhat of a landmark. Regular commuters knew him by sight, and some had been, watching his daily performances for years. Office workers would grab their morning coffee and pause to appreciate his artistry. Tour groups would gather around him, guides explaining the dedication required for such performances while cameras clicked constantly. What people didn't know was that Marcus donated a portion of his earnings to veteran support organizations. He never advertised this fact, believing that true respect should come without seeking recognition. His performances were not just entertainment, but a daily tribute to those who had served. He studied military history, learned proper saluting techniques, and even visited veteran centers to understand the weight of the uniform he wore. On this particular autumn morning, the air was crisp and the usual crowd was gathering. Marcus had already been in position for 2 hours when he noticed something different in the atmosphere. People seemed more subdued, checking their phones with concerned expressions. He could hear fragments of conversations about a local news story, but as a professional living statue, he couldn't break character to investigate. Little did he know that this day would test everything he believed about respect, honor, and the power of silent tribute.